Mickey 17 is a January film that came out at the beginning of the year, and I personally think it's one of the worst movies I've seen this year. Yeah, brace yourself, because I'm going to tear Mickey 17 a new one. Okay, I don't want to be cruel to this film, really. But honestly, this is one of these films that I really thought was going to be good when I saw the trailer and the posters for it, because I like the concept of this film. If you're not familiar with this, Mickey 17 takes place in some dystopian future where they are kind of just getting into colonization of other worlds. And Mickey is the main character, played by Robert Pattinson, and he is an expendable on this trip. Now, by expendable, here's how this works. Mickey is essentially a person who they manage to create a copy of every time he dies. Yeah. And he's called Mickey 17 because, well, that's the 17th iteration of him. And basically, he's sort of like a guinea pig. Like, say, for example, like they want to see like how, like when they land on this one planet that they're on, in the starship that he's traveling in, they send him out there to see if there's any contagious diseases. Well, there are some. And so he keeps dying of these contagious diseases. After about 5 iterations or so, they finally find a cure for it. And so Mickey is sort of like a recycled guinea pig is what he is. It's like when they want to send someone out to like there's a cave that needed exploring, we'll send Mickey out there. If he gets killed, we'll just and this is how they do it. They have this thing where they have this hard drive that is just full of his memories that really looks like a brick. In fact, it just probably is a brick as far as the prop goes. It looks like just a chunk of styrofoam with just some wire and stuff like that on it. And then they have like a 3D printer that can do flesh, apparently, and they just reprint Mickey's body, and then they just download the memories of the last time in it. So here's the thing. That would be a very interesting concept for a movie. And yet it just doesn't work. There's just something about this film that just fails on all counts. And I really can't help but think, like, if someone had given me this concept and told me to write a story based on that, I'd be like, wow, I wonder what I'm going to do with this. I wouldn't have done this. I would have liked to think like I wouldn't have done this. This feels like a film that they pitched it to executives and they said, a guy who dies and keeps coming back? Wow, that sounds awesome. Here's some money. And then they just and then they said like, oh crap, now we got to come up with a script for this. And then they just did it, I don't know, the night before, and then they turned it in, and then this was what they got. And then after that, it feels like studio interference, because there are things that happen in this film that are just utterly, absolutely erroneous. I mean, I think this is one of the most, okay, on one of the first episodes of the Geek Church, the show, which I have on YouTube if you want to watch, I actually did like my top 20 movies or something like that. If I did a top 20 worst movies, I think Mickey 17 would be on it. It's that bad. It'd probably be maybe in the low. Actually, I really haven't really thought about how bad certain movies are, but I really think it would be at least in the top 20. Because while I was watching this thing, I just felt like a dismal experience. And I was so glad I didn't pay money to see this in the theater, even though it looked kind of interesting. But I feel like one of the things that this film is trying to be is maybe a dark comedy, but it doesn't really succeed in that. And because sometimes it strays into trying to be too funny, but at the same time I'm going like, this isn't funny. This is about a guy who is recycled after he dies and stuff like that. And it very much shows that the society that he lives in the future is, of course, taking him for granted, and they obviously show that the upper class is essentially ruling the society, and is just sort of, yeah, I should probably get into this now. Remember I said that there's a spaceship in this movie? Well, I get the feeling like they don't really show this much, but I get the feeling like this is one of those films where Earth is essentially like crap, so we gotta leave it. And there's apparently a big line to leave Earth, and I'm guessing because things are getting pretty bad. And the film doesn't really go into detail about this, but Yeah. Now here's the thing. This is one of those films that starts out in medias res, in other words, in the middle of things. And I really hate this opening. It's been done to death. And the problem is when it opens, you just see Mickey in a cave, and he's about to die for the 17th time, I guess. And, and it starts with this like strange alien worm thing that's about to eat him. And then it cuts back to him just narrating about how he got there. And I really hate that type of thing. I'm really sick of I bet you're wondering how I got here opening. I'm sick of it. I'm just really sick of it. I just don't ever want to see it anymore. And not only that, because you're just waiting for the film to catch up to itself. And it's just like, would you just stop it? And it's just like, and yeah, that really, so naturally I was already mad at this film for doing that. Mickey's character is a simpleton. He makes Forrest Gump look like a genius. I'm going to just say that. So, here's the thing. Mickey is trapped in this cave, and it turns out all those alien worms, they didn't eat him. They actually got him out of the cave safely. So he gets back safely to his ship, only to find that he's already been cloned. Now in Mickey's world, apparently you can't have multiples because they've had issues with people cloning themselves and then doing horrible things. The way it's told is not good. They do this whole thing where they tell the backstory about why they can't allow multiples. And I just would have said, like, you could just say, like, multiples are not allowed, or establish that earlier in the film. Don't wait to do this now. And then in the film, when Mickey 17 meets Mickey 18, Mickey 18 is different. He's angrier and he's smarter. And I'm going like, you died like, you must have been cloned like literally hours ago. How in the world are you so different than Mickey 17? It didn't make any sense. Oh, by the way, Mickey 17 has a girlfriend, and this girlfriend becomes enamored with them very early in their spaceship voyage. And at first I thought she was using him for something, and maybe she was, but apparently they do have feelings for each other. And I actually would have felt like it would have been better if maybe we found out that she was just there to sort of keep him happy so he would keep dying all the time. That would have actually made more sense. Now, I'm going to get into what I really hated about this film. Mark Ruffalo and Toni Collette are in this film, and they play politicians. Ruffalo is a senator, and I believe Collette is his wife. And it feels like what they are is, imagine if, say, Donald Trump married Hillary Clinton and they were on the same spaceship together. And Ruffalo is chewing the scenery as this character, and he's doing such a bad Trump impersonation that it hurts every time he's on camera. It literally hurts. And then Toni Collette, who has been in such great films like Hereditary and all sorts of things, the first time remember how I said there are like these worm creatures on this planet? The first time she sees one and they bring it in to study, her immediate reaction is to try and make a sauce out of it. And I went like, why would you do that? Why would anyone do that anywhere? I just went like, this is stupid. This is absolutely so stupid. And I'm kind of going like, this isn't supposed to be like a zany comedy. I feel like this is supposed to be in the line of, say, Brazil or something like that. And I just went like, this is just awful. And this is one of those films where while I was watching it, I just said like, how much time is left in this? And it's like, oh no, 50 minutes. And it's just like, and I just wanted it to be over. It was just so bad. And there was just this, and I think there's a commentary on this film about, say, colonization and using people and stuff like that. But now, since I'm at the 9-minute mark, I'm going to talk about the ending, because the ending makes absolutely no sense. Basically, so that when these worms try to attack the starship, Mickey is able to use his, abilities, because apparently they have a translator to talk to these worms. But he managed to create a peace treaty between the worms and the new spaceship, which I actually thought, okay, that's pretty good. Could have been done a lot better, and it was clearly where the plot was working toward. But there's this weird dream he has where actually the villains are actually alive, even though we saw them both die, or we saw one of them die. It made no sense. And then he says, like, I keep having bad dreams. And I'm going like, when did you have bad dreams before? I don't even remember this being established. Mickey 17 is a bad film. Do not see it. Or if you do see it, have some in there to like laugh at it for you because it's so bad.